else needs permission to record? Good. Nick says, show us the Harry Potter room. Maybe I'll give you a little tour. I don't think they'll let me in their bedrooms. When they first arrive, they'll let me see the bedrooms, but I don't think they will right now, Nick. There might be a few things that I don't want to see. Everybody looked at me shocked there. Their faces tell 1,000 words. So type into the chat. Let me know what's going on. How are you, everybody? Pumped still after an epic event. Type into the chat. Let me know how you're feeling. What's good? What's good? The event was amazing, inspiring. Thank you for having it, Paul. Darren, you are very welcome. You are very, very welcome. Thank you for coming. Your continued attendance is very much appreciated. Cameron might be busy. Cameron's always busy, he tells me. Shows the Harry Potter seeing. Yeah, all good in from Brazil. Good for you, Andre, having a nice break over there in Brazil. So type into the chat. Let me know what's going on. How are you? Who can I see? I can see Tulsi. I can see Kelly, Dorothy, Futon, Nick, Francisco, Christine, Becca, Charity from CMPT, Katie Rush. Katie, what? Where were you? Santo, Michael, Almira, Darren, Sophie, the Roscoes, Wong, Jason Miller, Stephanie, Keith Sullivan, Keith, you were missed, Kimberly, Matt, Fleming, Andrew, good to see you on here. Who else? Christine Astorita, Kim Gladfelter. We've got Boy George, Stephen's iPhone, Michelle Reynolds, Andre, iPhone, Philip Chan, Travis Perrett, and who else? Many more coming onto the call. So what's happening? See what I can get from this. The staff breakout room was so helpful. Good. We were just talking about that this morning. We're going to make that a regular feature to all of the events, that there will be regular breakout rooms. It seems the breakout rooms have been a hit. So we're going to make that a regular feature. And look to support you with more insights for your team. Please bring your team. You need them. Bring as many people as possible to these events. We'll help. The more that you commit to us, if you like, with bringing the team, the more we'll figure out how we can help them. So just commit to bringing them, and we'll put stuff on for them to help them. Nick said staff loved it. Started reviewing the budgeting with staff upon my return. Amazing. All the things your staff was saying, Nick. Event was great. Working on my budget and all that stuff. Actually have the booklet from Orlando. Nick's getting a little paranoid there now. They loved it for many reasons. Started by delegating when I got back. Now people around me have lots. Good for you, Katie. Good for you. That's the deal. That's what we want. That's the game, Katie. That is the game, to get people to do more on your behalf. So what's the phrase? How can I move it without touching it? It's having enough people around you to get things done without it solely being responsible to you. Michael heard about it. What else? Type into the chat. We're going to talk takeaways today on this call. We're not going to add any more content to anybody today. We're just going to reflect on the event and see if we can synthesize some of the information for you, some of the insights, and spread that around today on the call. Staff would love a trip to Orlando or somewhere tropical. Well, here's what you're going to learn with me, Kimberly. I ain't putting events on anywhere cold. Like, it just isn't happening. Like, it is not. You will never fly to an event where it's less than 75 degrees, right? That's just not going to go on. It will always be sunny in Paul's World, wherever you come. Snowing, oh my word, snowing. Snowing in Minnesota today. Michelle says, awesome. Phoenix in January or March. Well, we're making our way over there. We're making our way over to the West Coast. I have a full-blown ops manager now. She found her role and understands it thanks to this event. It's a huge difference in the feel of things. I can move things without touching them. Tulsi says Dallas. It always bloody rains. There's always a storm in Dallas, though. Like, you always have flights delayed in Dallas. Like, every time I'm delayed, it's because of Dallas. Jackson Hole is warm in July. Tulsi's never delayed. Really? Michelle likes Vegas. We're rotating between Vegas, LA, and San Diego for the next couple of years in the West Coast. We're doing Austin next March. Austin will be rotated between New Orleans and Nashville. Nick, thanks for sharing the journey. Yeah, good. Amazing stories from Nick and from everybody at the weekend, which is what it was about. It's about showcasing success. And like I say, for me, what most of us need more than anything is just a path that we can see. And when you can see it, you can go and get it. And that belief that it is all possible and that other people are doing it across 9 different states with many different business models is just a huge source of motivation and inspiration for people. So all of you hold the images from the weekend. It was great to have many of you come up and saying you want to be on that stage. Some people said next year, some people said in 2021, some people said within 2 years, I want to win this. And great, we've created a new level of motivation in that business, and we all suck each other up together. And that's what the whole thing is about. We're going to get all of the recordings available to you for the speakers. We'll have a nice little gift for all of the finalists as well coming out in the post over the next few weeks. Just be careful with your microphones as you come on to the chat, please. There we go. Nick says, and how often on those competitions does the 2-place contestant, 2nd place contestant actually have a better career? Fire's been lit under my ass. Let me read this. What does this really mean from Nick? And how often on those competition shows do the 2nd place contestant actually have? I get it now. I get it. You're right, Nick. You're right. I think Ryan might have something to say about that. But you're right. It's often the 2nd place that goes on to earn the millions. Let's watch this space, Nick. Let's watch this space. Would you be? Has it ever happened that the 2nd place one year won the year after? I wonder if there might be a little challenge to you there, Nick, that I'm throwing down the gauntlet of. And here's what I want you to do, Nick. I want you to stand on stage next year when you've won it and go, "Fuck you, all of you." and throw a proper sassy, and it should have happened last year, right? That's what I want you to do. I want you to come back with serious attitude next year. Not that you would ever swear, Nick. It's like Nick's the most humble and loveliest man you'll ever meet, and it's like there wouldn't be an ounce of resentment or through gritted teeth in his voice when he wishes anybody success in the competition. He's one of those who actually genuinely means it when he does say congratulations, Ryan. Everybody else is like, congratulations, Ryan. Like, Nick's is legit. There's always a first for everything. There we go. So that's what I want for you next year, Nick. I've set the little challenge of, you all made a mistake last year, but you corrected it this year. Good. So we've lit a little fire under some people's ass already for next year, which is what it's about. So most of those shows only give you one chance. Well, they've started bringing them all back out now, haven't they? Because they've run out of contestants. That's what they're doing now. It's like it does start to become a little bit of you've applied 6 times and eventually you've got through. There were a lot of F-bombs flying on stage, Darren. You're right. You're right. There were. Paul Jones had a bit of attitude, a bit of sass there as well at the weekend that I wasn't expecting. But hey, that's what competition does, I guess. So, all right, what we got going on? Got a few things for you. Housekeeping, sales bootcamp. The hotel is sold out, so we're done. The hotel is sold out. We are probably going to be able to get another 10 or 15 in the room, in the actual room. But I don't think you're going to be able to get in the hotel. The link is expired, if you like. The room block that we have for the hotel is done. At the very least, Sophie's trying to get another couple. We might be able to, but we can't promise. So if you come into Sales Bootcamp, we are going to have a packed room. So please let us know very quickly if you send in staff. We've had more staff than ever this year, which is nice to see. If you haven't got time to train your staff, let me do it for you. I've been working on the workbook again today. This is literally a machine in this business. It's just we finish one event and it's rolling into the next. So Sales Bootcamp is the next big thing happening. 3 weeks on Saturday, we're back in that exact room, in that exact hotel. It's going to be another terrific event. I'll be on stage for 2 full days. So just let me train whatever you want to do with your team. Send them and I'll take care of them for you. We're going to do some thing different this year. I'm going to try and do some pranked live. So we're going to start searching for clinics open on a Saturday morning, and we're going to call them, and I'm going to do it live from stage. I'm literally going to ring them with 100 people in the room and prank. So everyone's going to have a gag or tape over their mouth, trying not to laugh. But it is my full intention that we will do pranked. live from stage on Saturday morning on day one of boot camp. But what we'll do is critique it. We'll critique it. So obviously I'll finish a call and then I'll go, okay, here's what I think they could have done. What do you think they could have done? How do you think they could have improved? And we'll legitimately use, somebody else's not so good methods for answering the phone to our game to develop and to improve the way that we handle the phone. At the very least, I'll record 2 or 3 in the week building up to it, and I'll play them live on stage. And I'll press pause. I'll tell you what went wrong, what I think they could have done better, and I'll use legitimate examples to show your staff. I want to show them on morning one what bad calls sound like, so that they can find themselves in it, which makes the rest of the 2 days very easy. And I'll go back to each session. Each session I'll be like, remember this morning you had this? Remember this morning they didn't do this? And so on. So I'm excited for that improvement to Sales Bootcamp this year. So reach out to the team if you're coming. Talk to Caitlin, Paul at paulgoff.com, or just get in touch with any of the staff. And bring your team. If you've been before, you want to come again, remember you get the returning rate, which is significantly cheaper. Masterminders get the reduced rate anyway. And for anybody else on the call, Cash Club or current accelerators, you'll get a tiered discount as well. So hotel is booked, so please, we are going to fill up again. Probably another 12 to 15 seats left in the room, so get your seats booked, and I'll take care of your team for you. New Orleans is going to be 7th and 8th of March. Block that out in your calendar. 7th and 8th of March is New Orleans. It's a very long and complicated name for the hotel. I don't even want to begin to announce. I've just got my head around the fact that it's New Orleans and not Nashville. So we're in New Orleans 7th and 8th of March, Mardi Gras theme. We may even have the link for you to book that seat by the end of this call. If we can get the booking link off the hotel in the next hour. So that's what's going on. It's going to be a busy couple of weeks. We've got a mastermind back in the UK for Christmas for the UK people on the phone, 17th and 18th in my clinic. If you are in the UK or Europe or Brunei, as some of you are, Futon, I'll see you in the UK 17th and 18th of December. So yeah, that's the hotel. Don't book that hotel because we'll get you a link. Obviously, we'll get you the cheaper. We'll get you the cheaper rate. So, but that's the area that we're going to be in New Orleans. So let's talk this through, and I'm just going to give you a minute or two to think about this. Let's just reflect on the event and what did you get from it. And I'm going to try and put this into context for you if you were there, and if you weren't there, I'll pull out some insights for people. And we'll try and go a little bit deeper on the things that you learned from the weekend, and try and just make sense of a few things for you. The biggest thing for me, I think, the takeaway, the thing that really stood out from stage was the idea of the vision got bigger when the plan got better. And that's the level of thinking that we're at. This is what this community is about. It's not doing more stuff. It's thinking differently. It's seeing your challenges differently. It's seeing what being in business is really, really about. Leveraging people, improving the asset, which is you and your business skills. I always liken business to having a Formula One car. All right, this is the way I was explained to it years ago. So Lewis Hamilton, British guy, one of the best Formula One drivers of the last 10 years. He wins year after year. He could be in a slower car than me. So I could get Lewis Hamilton's car right now, and I could give him mine, right? Whatever car Lewis Hamilton drives, you put us both on the track, he'd beat me because he has the superior skills. I couldn't handle driving his car because I don't have the skills to drive the car. Therefore, it really isn't the size of your business, and it isn't necessarily what town you're in, or it isn't necessarily what might be in your favor, what's your advantage, because ultimately it's about the business skills. You inherit a business. What I love about Luke's story from the stage on the weekend, which shouldn't be underestimated, is that Luke inherited a business from his father that had stalled and had flatlined. Luke took it on. Luke took it on to another level. Luke got that business to the point of being profitable without him and his father in that business, which was 2 big salaries to replace. Factor in that I think the stats are something like 85% of second-generation businesses in America go bust. Certainly very high. It might be 60, it might be 70, it might be third-generation businesses is 85. But what I'm saying is Luke essentially inherited the Formula One car, right? but he had to learn how to drive it. And most people who inherit the Formula One car never learn how to drive it. They just get in it and start to drive, which is why they crash it at the first bend. Exactly the same thing with Luke. Luke was, yeah, there's the Formula One car, but you're going to have to learn how to drive it, Luke, if you want this thing to go around the bend week after week, month after month, and still spit out profit. And he did, which is a credit to him, because most people get the car and don't learn the skills. And that's ultimately what this community is about. It's about learning the skills to drive the car as fast, as reliable, as consistent as you want it to drive, always and forever. That's what business success comes down to. The asset is you. We can develop the asset with skills. The leverage, things getting done, growth, speed, consistency comes from team. So you're the asset. We're trying to develop you. And by developing you, I have to get it across to you that the way you have to develop is that you have to get good at leveraging team. That's the asset being developed, to understand that the growth and the success and the long-term sustainability of your business will come from team. And we're watching it more and more and more be about how well you can get people to do things for you. How well can we get the right team on board? I put a quick analogy in the group yesterday. Is it really that we can't get good staff to answer the phone? And what would be the point of training people who can't answer the phone? When really what the problem was a recruitment issue. That we didn't truly understand who we were looking for, what skills they've got. We didn't communicate with them well enough in an interview. We didn't ask them the right questions. That's the skill that the asset needs to have. With that skill honed, we get better people who are easier to coach. Therefore, don't get better at coaching and don't keep replacing the people. Get better at recruitment to make coaching easier and make it more likely that people will stay. The problem is nearly always behind the symptom that you're feeling. And that's what this community is about. That's what these events are around. Definitely a lot of mindset, but mindset in a way that shifts the way that you see the problem. We are trying to shift. I've said it a few times. With everything in your life, accept it, change the meaning of it, or walk away from it. It's the only three options available to you, by and large, to everything happening to you in your life today. There's nothing else you can do. You got shit going on at home or in the office. You either accept it, so put up and shut up, change the meaning of it. I understand this differently now. This thing that I'm having with this person at home, I'm changing the meaning of why this person's saying this or doing this, or I walk away. As in, if it's a problem in the office, you accept it and you just let it ride for however long it's going to ride, but it's not eating up your thoughts every day. You change the meaning of it if staff people are doing certain things, or you have to walk away. In the business case, you've got to let them go. You make a decision. But anything outside of that is torture. It's a relentless pecking, if you like, at your head of things that you're not going to do anything about. And when you start to free yourself of that, you realize you get more focused. And when you get more focused, you get more purposeful. When you get more purposeful, you achieve more things. And you see these things through. So I've said a few times on the calls recently of one of the things you have to do is shut out distraction. Well, how do we do that? Well, distraction comes in many forms. Just be careful with your mics again, please, all whoever's coming on. There you go. Distraction comes in many forms. For example, like people putting their microphone on when you're deep in thought. But it isn't just Facebook and it isn't just TV. It's usually more silent than that. And it's where your thoughts are taken because you think that naturally that's where your thoughts have to go when you're consumed by fear or doubt, or you're consumed by a problem at home, or you're consumed by a problem in the office that you just can't see a way past. That's where most people get distracted. Is this making sense? Because I think at the surface level, people think that distractions are Facebook and newspapers and TVs, and they are. But really, distraction is actually from our thoughts when we're consumed at things that we have so far been unable to fix. And some people have been distracted and consumed by certain things in their life for years. Years. And that's when you realize that's where most of your distraction comes from. that you're not able to focus in on something because you're being consumed by something outside of that moment, whether that's in your home life, whether that's in your office, whether that's just with friends or with family. Something eats away at you. If it's a nagging feeling that you're being judged by family who think that you work too hard, well, that's going to be a distraction. You've got to work out how to rewire that. You either accept it, in which case you don't mull it over anymore. You change what it means, that they just love you, but they're just showing it in a way that isn't the way that you would like it to. Or thirdly, you walk away from it. There's nothing else available to you. The other is what everybody does, which spends an entire lifetime living with the torment that comes with thinking like that. And it's the ones who break away from that way of thinking that ultimately get more done, because they're focused on what needs to be done, not worrying about this other shit that they think they can't change. Now, you'll never change the way that your parents view the way that you work, but you can change the way that you see the way that they view it. And in that moment, all of your frustration goes. And it's usually the frustration that you fight. This making sense? You're not usually bothered that they have an opinion of you. You're just pissed at the frustration that the opinion of you causes. And that's the bit that loses you your time and your focus. You're pissed that you can't get it out of your head. When you can't get it out of your head, what do? You try and get it out of your head. And the more you try and get it out of your head, the more you cement it in your head. It's just bizarre, but that's the way it works for all of it. So that's what we're heading and are more and more about in this community. The topic, what did I talk about? What was the specific topic there, Nicole, that I talked about at the event? But it's optimizing the asset. That's the key. You've got to figure out, you're your business's biggest asset. Where do we optimize the asset from? Well, most of our issues are up here. The three things: accept it, change it, or walk away from it. Everything else, and the best thing here, Nicole, and for everybody listening, all three of those are in your control. This is why I keep speaking about life, by and large, other than health, and I'll always put that in. I'll always stick that in. Other than health, life can deal you some shitty blows with health, but most of the other stuff, it's by and large, we're in control of it every day. Particularly when it comes to how you feel about things that appear to be happening to you externally. They're not. They're not somebody else's problem. You're accepting somebody else's problem. Accept it. Frustration goes away. Change the meaning of it. Frustration goes away. Walk away from it. Frustration goes away. You don't have any other choices. Spend the rest. Choice number 4 is spend the rest of your life fighting it, and you all know that you get nowhere with it. Is the truth. If you've been fighting with somebody in your life over wanting you to do something or not do something, and it's 5 years in, change the fucking record. Like, it ain't nothing going to change if you keep doing the same thing for another 5 years. So, who wants to go first? I would love your takeaways and insights from the weekend. Is there anything I can put into perspective for you about what you learned? Just share with me some discoveries, big takeaways, and you give me some prompts, and I'll dig in deep for you on today's call, which is what I'd love to do. If you've got any major questions, we can get to them as well. But let's see if we can just reflect on the weekend first. Who wants to go first? Who wants to share?
Paul, I'll jump in really quick. It's Amy.
Let's go, Amy. How are you?
I'm having a much better week this week.
Good.
And I mean, obviously, a lot of you guys asked about the building and witnessed my struggle with changing the meaning of things and that struggle and fighting against what is happening. And so this week, just trying to focus on the things I can control. It's been really great, the refocus around marketing and leading to the outcome, the 4 buckets, all of that stuff we started with on day 1.
Yeah.
It's really great because we have a new admin that we're having to do a working interview this Friday. I'm pretty sure I'll be making an offer to her. And then I have my 90-day meeting with Melissa, the PTA I brought on. And we've just been busting our butts in the office to get all the content situated for Cassie's maternity leave. And so a lot of the things we talked about over the weekend with clarity of our message, focusing on the client's outcome. It's just really timely for these meetings and the things I'm going to go over with. And some of it worked just this morning on a call from a client who said she takes Medicare as a new inquiry. And I mean, she started, of course, with, do you take Medicare? And I can't pay out of pocket. And she'd already called another cash clinic. And so they had given her my number, which is funny because I'm pretty sure they know I'm cash. But anyway, she booked a DV for today and she already wanted to schedule her eval for Tuesday. Just doing the stuff you talked about, slowing it down, asking her name, focusing on the fact that she doesn't want to leak anymore. I do pelvic health for anybody that just got weird for. Talking about pee, but just reassuring her we can help her avoid surgery, which was definitely her fear. And so all of that stuff, I don't know that conversation would have gone that way had I not been at the weekend.
Good. Here's what I've got for you as well. I was writing as you're listening. So I was thinking, okay, if I was in your situation now with the shit that's going on with the premises, you've kind of got this big object, and obviously I don't know the ins and outs, so this might be relevant, it might not be, but I'm just going to try and give everybody an example of how I would try to reframe this and what's happening. And I know you asked me about this at the end, and I probably didn't give you a great answer, and it might have even been too tactical at that point. But here's an answer, or our way. It's not the right answer, and I'm not saying that this is what I would do. I'm just trying to help everybody. You can always find something in something if you want. So as you were talking there, we've got this scenario of, Amy wanted to be in the Rolls-Royce clinic. She wanted to be in the Hilton, right? Figuratively. She can see the Hilton hotel, right? Currently she's in the Motel 6, right? And the Motel 6 is pissing her off. And she doesn't like being in the Motel 6. And we want to get over here to the Hilton, where we know we're going to be able to provide amazing service. A mindset hack for you, and if I was in that office and my team were there, I'd be kicking their ass along the lines of this. Let's tighten up on everything that we're doing in a Motel 6 to make sure that we don't get complacent when we get to the Hilton. And it almost is like this thing's waiting for us, but I actually am worried. I would be saying this to my team. I'm worried about us moving to the Hilton because I think what could happen is when we get to the Hilton, we get complacent because we're in the Hilton. As in, we've moved into a swanky, pimped out, amazing premises, and standards drop. We've just been given another 3 to 4 months to nail down on every fucking thing going on in this business. That when we leave this Motel 6, we take these exact same standards to the Hilton. We don't need to be in the Hilton to live with these standards. That would be the way that I would reframe what you're going through. This potentially has given you 3 to 4 months to double down on standards to make sure that nobody gets complacent, nobody's, riding high on the sugar high of let's go to an amazing premises and people are just going to walk through the doors. That's not going to happen. The worst thing that can happen to Amy is she thinks that because she gets a new premises, all her business problems are gone. I'd be using that to my advantage with my team, with myself. I'm going to make this work before we get there. If we can't make it work in a Motel 6, we ain't going to make it work in a Hilton team. This has given us 3 or 4 months to get our standards right, to make sure that there is no complacency when we walk through that doors in 3 to 4 months, and use it like that. I don't know the situation with rent or mortgage right now, overheads, bills, whatever. It might be that you've bought yourself another 3 or 4 months of less cash being used and so on. No, all right, can't reframe that one for you. But the standards, it's the standards. The complacency that kicks in when businesses move to bigger premises is that everything will be all right on the night just because we've moved to a new place. And again, that's the leader. That's where the leader steps in and goes, all right, this is not ideal, but here's what we're going to do. We're going to have a damn good time in this hotel. And it's like, I'm trying to think of an analogy with, with kids, which there'll be one somewhere of if for example, when we go back to England, there's like light water, little fucking like crappy little, they're not even crappy, but like theme parks, right? But in comparison to Disney, like they pale into insignificance. But we take the kids there on purpose, or I do. Natalie doesn't. I haven't explained why I want to take the kids there. Because if my kids can't be happy in Lightwater Valley or Flamingo Land, they ain't going to be happy in Disneyland. It's the same mindset. If my kids are not going to be happy in a kind of average theme park in Britain, if you like, they ain't going to be happy in Disney. They'll just be spoilt little bastards by the time they get to Disney.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go on.
Well, I was just going to say, that's the part I'm excited about. And we definitely that's the only way I've stayed sane, honestly, is to focus our energy on just nailing everything down. Cassie's been adding more and more to the handbook to bring Jordan on. We revamped our reports and added 3 new ones. We're redoing some stuff on the website, redoing funnels so that we can run Google ads so that we can be busy enough in the new space. I already started yoga somewhere so that not everything's brand new. So that part's awesome and going well, and you're 100% right. I think the biggest issue, to be completely honest, and this is where I, was kind of landed Sunday night, Paul, was I'm happiest if I just don't even talk to Jim, if I don't even think about the building, if I don't try to reach my lawyer, if I don't even call APS or deal with the electricity. But it also feels incredibly irresponsible not to at least some degree stay on top of him. So it's more, how much do I let that interfere with my other focus? How much energy do I give it, and how much of a distraction do I let it be? So that's more what I've struggled with.
Who can we give that to? Because I agree. If you're dead right. The thought of talking to these types of companies would make me violently sick, having to deal with such incompetency. But there is somebody out there who likes doing it. Who in your life could you just go to and say, look, I need some help?
The only other person that would be remotely appropriate is my husband.
I mean, is there anybody else around? Is there an auntie, a sister, an uncle, a cousin?
My mom would have killed them by now.
Is there somebody across state? Is there somebody in this group who can help you out? Who could?
I can get my cousin Bobby back on it. He's the one who called the city and helped me sort out the state of the permits or lack of permits in the first place.
Is there a patient who does it, who you can exchange a year's worth of treatment for? A past patient who's got a husband who might want some help? Whatever.
I'll explore that.
Just think, right? Because you're right. I agree with you, right? I wouldn't abdicate it, but I wouldn't want to get involved in it. I would just want to make sure that every Friday, whoever I'd appointed to had kicked their ass with 16 emails, and just pick somebody who just loves causing shit for other people. Just say, yeah. Do you want to make somebody miserable as shit? In fact, ring somebody up who you just know loves to cause shit, and just say, I've got the perfect job for you. I want you to make these 6 people's lives a complete misery every week, and I'm going to compensate you for it this way. Crack on. Feed back to me every Friday. You want to get to the point of the fucking lawyer ringing you, complaining at you because somebody's ringing him that much.
I will look into that.
What a great complaint.
Right.
Well, now I've got you. Can I have an update?
No, he doesn't even return calls. We have to wait like a week to 10 days to get an email back from our lawyer.
I'd be pretty sure if his secretary gets a phone call every hour on the hour, every day for a week, he'll return your call. They just do. Because they know that you're getting a phone call and you're getting fobbed off, like they do. Because why? This is what and don't take this the wrong way, that's what the average person on the street does. We make one phone call and then we wait for them to call back. Call them back every hour. At what point have you said to this, try this tomorrow morning? Just to let you know, I know you've told me that my lawyer will call me back. If you're his secretary, I will be ringing you every hour on the hour until he does. It's up to you.
The problem is he doesn't even have a secretary. It goes straight to a voicemail. His voicemail has a limit. It just hangs up on you if you leave a very long voicemail. But I can still do that.
Emails, letters, text. He's getting it.
Yeah.
Just photocopy the same letter and send it through the mail every day. Send the same email every day with a different subject line. Leave the same voicemail every single day. Start leaving some reviews online and forward them to him. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Hey, this is my first review today. This is my second review today. This is my third review of the day. How badly do you want it? But get somebody else to do it.
Okay.
Just get them to feed back to you. You set them a thing of saying, ring them every day, send them an email every day, send them a letter every day, send them some flowers one day, send them some chocolates the next. Just play with this fucking app.
Okay, I will work on that.
I sent you these chocolates because you've pissed me off, and I want you to realize that when I'm sad, I have chocolates.
Okay.
Don't play that. Don't play their games.
But yeah, we are definitely working on the Hilton experience now, and getting a lot done with that. So that's been the bright light in the midst of all of it.
When you get there as well, you're going to love it for longer.
Absolutely.
That's the other way. We all know that. The longer you have to wait to get what you want, the more you appreciate. So a similar, I told you my story with the lawyer where I used a guy in the Philippines from Austin who emigrated and lived out there as a remote lawyer, and bad mistake, same thing, couldn't get through to him. 6 weeks at a time he'd go in between. It was just a nightmare. Like every time I'd bombard him with emails threatening him with fucking lawyers on him and all sorts of shit, right? And what I look back now retrospectively on it is because it took longer, it made me realize how much I wanted it. And I wonder what life, it wouldn't have been, but I do wonder what life would have been like if the visa process had been simple. But because it dragged out for a year and because I had to fight big style to get it, I just wonder how much that plays in me now being as happy and how, fulfilled we are as a family here because we have to fight to get it. Similar thing's going to happen with you.
Absolutely. And I mean, trying to have it be lessons for us, lesson for the kids. I mean, I definitely did not in any capacity until it hit the fan factor in the need for, like so many of the CEOs talked about this, especially Christine, the need for my own becoming who I would need to become to live out the vision I had.
Yeah.
I did not factor that in. And I know that's a piece of all of this. It's just, I mean, the circumstances around it and the seller and the spuds. And I mean, it's just such an unbelievable clusterfuck that it will get done eventually.
Yeah.
I also mean, a big piece of it is I'm not going to I'm not wearing a Christmas sweater, Nick. It's my BU sweatshirt. Nick just private messaged me if I'm wearing Christmas stuff already. God. No, but I did take down fall so I can decorate for Christmas. Anyway, I just want to I don't want to let them all off the hook. They've lied and been completely so many things that I think the financial vindication is part, but I'm also not trying to cling to it to the point that it derails everything else.
Yeah, exactly. Get somebody else to do it.
Even what you said about it's just a shite year,
You've paid for a lesson you've learned a wonderful lesson you've paid for that will serve you very well in the future of all of this type of diligence, who you're using, lawyer, you'll be asking better questions, who's your secretary, how often can I get her, is there a direct dial, blah, blah, blah. Can I speak to 12 people before I do business with you? I bet you if you ask for 12 people that this guy's done business with, they'll tell you exactly the same story.
Yeah.
It's all of the lessons we learn in life are wonderful. It's painful in the moment, but if we're thinking 25-year picture, it's turbulence.
Definitely. Thanks.
Pleasure. Who's next? Starbucks has Christmas up already. They had Disney. Disney had Christmas up the next day after Halloween. And Caitlin was telling me, I'll come to you in a sec, Derek. Caitlin was telling me about how it works at Disney. There's literally 10,000 people running around all the parks overnight. You leave at midnight, it's Halloween. You arrive at 10 a.m. the next day, it's Christmas. It's just could you imagine the operational aspect of that? It's just insane. But every day is probably worth $1 million of Christmas merchandise being sold. So if not more, significantly more. Why wouldn't there? Derek, how can I help?
You talked, well, I guess a lot of the CEOs talked about becoming a liberator type leader.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I didn't hear the talk you gave on the 4 different types, but I can see that the liberator is going to be the most beneficial. So I was wondering if you had a handout for that, or if you can give me some.
It's in the we'll get the workbook to you. It's liberator, protector, dominator, or abdicator. Basically, is the 4 quadrants you could be in. So the liberator is top right, where you want to be. You find a lot of people in our world are protectors. So what they'll do is make excuses for staff, and they'll always justify or excuse a mistake or something going wrong in the name of protecting, but then they blow and fire them very quickly, and that is leading to mistrust in the team. You have the abdicator, which is come on in, sit down, there's a script, crack on, and then you fire them 6 weeks later because they're incompetent, and yet we didn't give them any training or we didn't challenge them. And then there's the dominator, which is the quite aggressive, micromanaging, telling people do that better and that could be done better, and so on and so forth. So usually you're in one of those 4 quadrants. Our world is more often than not protectors or abdicators, in that we abdicate because we're too busy and we didn't have time to recruit properly, and we didn't have time to train properly. Why? Because we're in with patience. We're trying to fly the plane at the same time as serve the nuts, which is only going to end with a plane crash, basically. And then you often get the protector. That's just because it's in your nature in healthcare. We don't like challenge. We don't like to upset people. We want to just genuinely help, but we don't understand that by Disney have a great phrase. Is it something along the lines of To help you, I have to help you less. Every time I help you, you become more helpless. So when you ask them, and this is what Vance, if you speak to him about these things, Caitlin told me this one as well. When you go to Disney and you ask somebody for help, hey, could you help me find so-and-so? Their immediate reaction will be, I'll assist you, not help you. Because every time I help you, you become more helpless. And it's just it's just a great great way of thinking about that what's the beef, my beef with the government and various systems. Like they claim to help, but what's really happened in society since big governments took over and started giving people more money and more things, what's happened in society? What's happened? Become helpless. We're living in a society where, by and large, the majority, we've certainly passed into that overwhelming majority of people look to the government every day for something. In doing so, they are helpless. And the government contribute to it more and more and more. They claim to protect. But do they? Or do they dominate? You can do this to a certain degree. But the minute you do this, we're going to stop that. You can make a bit of money, but not too much. It's just it's crazy. And people are just warped in it all day long. This is the best example I could give you is the government of how it controls people. Can I just get somebody's charger? See, guys, my phone's going to go off. My battery's going to go off. There's actually one in my bag. If I could stick that in for 2 minutes. So sorry, that works. Thank you. The government's the best example that you'll find for somebody who preaches to be a liberator. We stand for freedom and we want you to do this, this, and this. Fuck, load of bullshit. Everybody knows it. You watch them all. They stand on stage and they'll say, "We're going to do this for you, this for you, this for you." None of it happens. So they claim to be a liberator. They claim to be a liberator. They masquerade really as a protector. We're here to protect the people. But what they really are is dominant. Because to a certain degree, almost everybody's lives restricted by it. You can do just enough, but the minute you start doing a bit more, we'll take more off you. So it's false. And what does it lead to? What is there an unbelievable amount of a lack of right now in society between people and the government? What's the one word that you'd sum up? A lack of trust. Trust. Nobody trusts the government. Ever. Haven't for years. Probably did 100 years ago, 50, 60, 70 years ago, when people had that level of trust in the government, when it was, kind of becoming more, or certainly people needed the government more 100 years ago. Not today. If you look at that quadrant, that's what you see with the government. They claim to be liberators. The people view them as protectors or want to be seen as protectors. They are selling themselves as protecting people. But there's a level of mistrust there because they're actually quite dominant in your life. And that level of distrust is what you're seeing right now. It might have got a guy voted 3 years ago. It's a backlash. It was irrational, but it wasn't when you look at it. So there's lessons there. There's lessons there for you as leaders. You just need to look at the government as to what they're doing and why there's so much distrust. The message that they're communicating and the way that they're behaving is not congruent with what is reality. And that's what you often find in businesses. With a protector, government claims to protect, you will protect for a certain period of time until a point, then you blow and you change the rules or you change the game. I thought the government was going to help me out. I thought they'd give me more money. The government's been really nice to me for the last year. Then all of a sudden they've changed the amount I can get or the taxes I have to pay. False sense of security leads to distrust. And that is in business pretty much the same. I'll bring you in. I'll forgive a lot of your mistakes and I'll smile and tell you it's okay and that we'll all learn lessons and whatever. And then 90 days in, I'll blow and you'll be out the door. They don't understand why then you're shouting at them because you protected them in the first 90 days of them coming in. With abdication, majority of businesses that are big, when they bring staff in, I think you'll find the smaller businesses, Derek, you'd be in the protector initially, because it's the first 1 or 2, 3 members of staff coming through the doors, and you want to make sure they're all right, and you want to be liked, and just naturally, a smaller team, you want to protect them. And then as your team gets bigger and you head towards 10, 15, 20 staff, you probably cross into abdication, which is coming in, there's the scripts, I've created these workbooks, crack on. And you realize that the quality of the onboarding is not as good, and all of a sudden you can't find good staff anymore, and you realize it's because you've moved into abdication. And what you want to be is in that fine balance of liberation, which is a completely different world. You're coming to me and you're asking me what you want, and I'm facilitating your growth, but you're responsible for it. I'm just putting you in a situation to ask the questions. What do you think you need to do to improve? Vance said it on the stage on Saturday, asking staff, what do you think world-class experience should be? They'll tell you, and then you literally just point out. And do you think, honestly, that we're doing that reliably, consistently, every time? They'll say no. All right, what do you think we need to do to make sure that we do it consistently every single time? They'll tell you the answers. All right, so is that what you're telling me, that you think the best standard is in this business? Yes. All right, how would you like me to hold you accountable to that? That's it. That's all I'm doing if I'm facilitating that conversation. It's when you hear it come out of my mouth, it's easy. When you're not getting sucked into the emotional aspect of business, that is. That's the problem for most. The day-to-day sucks you in, and you realize that you're not liberating, you're abdicating or protecting. Does that help, Derek?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm definitely a protector.
9 out of 10 new businesses, particularly in healthcare, will be protectors. The rest, usually 1 out of 10 is liberator. Abdicator. And that usually is, and again, nobody take this the wrong way, you can usually spot that with a lack of confidence in the person themselves. They've got such little confidence in themselves that they don't know how to sort of help or coach or work with. It's like, there you go, there's a script and there's some videos, like, crack on. I would be able to spot it a mile off if I walked into any business. What quadrant? Give me half a day with you and I'll tell you where you're at. Because the symptoms behind it, the cause behind it, if you like, produces the symptoms. A lack of confidence in the self usually leads to somebody who doesn't like coaching other people because they're not confident enough that they think they're good enough to actually be able to coach somebody. Sound familiar to anybody? And I don't want you to put your hand up, but I'm trying to bring your symptoms to the forefront of some people. That when you have a lack of confidence in yourself, you're always going to have a lack of confidence in thinking that you're not good enough to coach your own staff. That will lead to you being a leader that is abdication by nature, by default. There's very little you can do until you face up to the root cause of the problem, which is your own self-belief and your own self-confidence. Which is, again, partly why in this program I try to do so much on it and give you the facts. This is the reality. This is where your lack of confidence comes from. This is what it really means. This is this family shit that you're carrying with you for from 60 years ago. It's up to you. Keep carrying it if you want, but it's no need. It should have been dropped years ago. You can hide behind it, or we can face up to it. You can accept it. You can change the meaning of it. Walk away from it completely. What do you want to do? Nobody's born with confidence, by the way. So such a misunderstood idea that people are born with confidence. Carrie says that was 100% my problem. Will happily raise my hand because I've learned so much this year from it and I'm still learning. Yeah, you're just optimizing yourself. You're just optimizing yourself. The ability to reflect upon yourself and just see where you are is incredible. Who else? Who else can I help? Any reflections from the weekend? Who wants to share big takeaways? Derek, happy with that?
Yeah, thank you.
Great. Who wants to go? Who wants to talk? Lack of confidence in self leads to an abdicator. What about protector and dominator? Protector would be, that's in your kind of probably healthcare nature and needing to be liked rather than respected. That would come from more of just a lack of understanding of what the role of the business owner is. That you think that by being liked, you know, again, the misconception is that everybody has to have harmony, like I spoke about on the stage. And it's just misunderstood that if my team don't like me, then they're not going to work for me. Well, they don't have to like, and you know, vice versa, but we need to respect each other. So that comes from more misunderstood. I think dominator would come from more unable to give up control. I can't give up control. And that would come from massive insecurities, massive insecurities. You show me a dominator and I'll show you somebody with huge insecurities problems all their life that would be passed on usually from family, wouldn't even know it, but mothers and fathers, aunties and uncles have encouraged them that the world's bad and everybody's going to pinch their money and staff are shit and, you know, blah, blah, blah. That's where that'll come from. And it usually hides their own insecurities because they can't be vulnerable. So two very different things. One's a lack of confidence if I'm abdicating because I don't think I'm worthy. I don't think I'm worthy in myself. Therefore, I don't think I'm worthy enough to coach Sally, who's now on my front desk. And if I don't have the confidence in me, well, then she's going to recognize that and she's going to think, who's this person coaching me? Because she's not very good. So who is she to coach me? That's the shit that's going around the head of the abdicator. The dominator is, I don't really want you here, but I have to have you here. But while you're here, I'm going to make sure you're not going to screw me over. Because I've been taught somehow, subconsciously, false belief, passed on through families, that everyone is bad, everybody screws you over, and I'm hiding my own vulnerabilities by not being able to allow you to do your job, to be free. What if you come in, do a good job for me, develop and grow as a person, and leave me? I mean, I am going to go into it, but you've seen it in relationships. By the way, I hope this is not lost on you all. It's the same thing. Dominator in a relationship. What is it? Vulnerabilities. I have to pull you in. I have to keep you here. Because if I let you go and you go and have some fun and you meet other people, I can't live without you. Therefore, I am keeping you here. My own insecurities and inability to be vulnerable will cause me to want to control you. And the more that I control you, the more that it exposes my vulnerabilities the minute that you leave. Exactly the same thing. There is no difference in life anywhere. And again, what can you do other than recognize it? You got to recognize it in yourself. You got to recognize it in the people around you. It will not change. It's consistent everywhere. Everywhere you look, you'll see it in all relationships. You'll see it in your mothers, your fathers, your own, your aunties, your uncles, your cousins. You'll see it in business leaders you respect. You'll see it in business leaders you don't respect. The exact same thing. If I'm a control freak at home, I'm a control freak at work. Simple as that. Because I can't switch off at 9 o'clock. I cannot become somebody else. There's a force behind me in player that's too powerful that I can't change in a 5-minute drive to work. It's false beliefs, patterns. You're being run by something that you don't even know. Does that help, Michael? Protectors and dominators. Yeah. Right. And you know, you've got to get critical with yourself as to who you are. Likewise, if I spent half an hour with people, if I spent half a day with somebody in their personal life, I could tell you what their business life would be like. And if I spent half a day in their office, I could tell you what their relationship. I wouldn't ever say this to them, but I could tell you, all of you, from hanging around with you for half a day, what's going on in your relationships. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out. I can tell you what's going on in your office and why people are leaving. It's not a rocket scientist to figure out. The information's there. It's the application and execution of it that's difficult. There's just so many consistencies, and that's the good news. The good news is it's consistent. Bad news is it's pretty difficult to accept. There you go. I think everyone from our event could tell you. We all just know about Cameron's current status. That's it. That his status is just Tinder.
So I have a thought, Paul.
Dorothy, how can I help?
Well, I often am trying to figure out how to get my business into a lot of your ideas because I'm, a single person in a executive suite.
Yeah.
But I really liked with Vance when we were talking about Disneyfying our practice. I thought there's no reason I can't do that about it, and I decided I could come up with like a grab bag, like pediatric dentists do. So
Yeah.
I've already got chapsticks and pens, but I could get like golf tees, little cold packs. I could get a lot of different things that adults would really like to have because they're not taking my treats right now. I've got organic food and all that kind of stuff, and they're just not taking that. But I thought it would be fun if a golfer wanted golf tees or somebody needed a chapstick on a hot day. So I thought any day they come in, if I have an amount of fun little things that they could grab, that might help bring it up a notch, that people would be interested to see like what's in the grab bag today.
Yeah, and I think what Vance explained about that, or certainly my take on it, would be what we often want to do is give people what we want them to have, if that makes sense. We want you to have my t-shirt, and I want you to have my water bottle, and I want you to have my swag bag with my logo on it and all that type of stuff. And the reality is the customer doesn't necessarily want that. And I think what Disney do so well is they give you what you want, not necessarily what they want you to have, if that makes sense. It's in that respect, why do we have to just give them something that's relevant in terms of TheraBands and, exercise cheat sheets or whatever? Like just chocolates or brownies or, little books or just fun jokes, 15 jokes that my clients have told me or whatever. Like just that's like thinking far past. I just want you to have my products because it endorses my stuff that many people want their customers to have. Can we just give them something because it means something to them? Like that's ultimately what it's about, and it's relevant to them. It means something to them. But underneath it all, it's more just the consistency of doing it and knowing that every time you go and see Dorothy, you're going to be treated well. Something really fun's going to happen, or something amazing is going to be given to you, or something that you just weren't expecting was sent to you the next day, sent before you got there. That's what I love, about surprise and delight type things is don't give it to them. I used to say this to the team all the time. If we're giving them stuff, don't give it to them as they leave. And they'd be like, yeah, but it costs us £6 to send it to them the next day. I'm like, yeah, but that's the point. Like the surprise and the delight. Don't give it to them at the end. Send it to them the next day when they weren't expecting it. Like that's the concept really of what you want to get into. That's kind of where we're evolving this to. In fact, I just got off the phone to Joe, my visual designer guy, creates the t-shirts and all the shit. Of the same thing for us with shock boxes, and we'll have by the end of the year a box of shit for any program that anybody signs up that'll come out. You wouldn't be expecting it, you wouldn't know you were going to get it, and so on and so forth. When we send gifts out to people, Caitlin does an amazing job checking the Facebook group, who's had kids, who's got married, who's mother's ill or whatever. She sends stuff through the post to people, and you'll see people popping up in the group like, didn't expect this, thank you so much, blah blah blah, yada yada. That is what makes the difference. But if we said that we did that, then it wouldn't necessarily feel the same. She literally has a job stalking people. That's her job, to go through the Facebook group on a daily basis and find out if there's any announcements, or add everybody as friends and just keep track of good things, bad things happening into their in their life. A couple of clients from Barbados, boom, from Bahamas, cool. How can we help them? Obviously the next day after the event, great. What can we do? What can we send them? It's not going to get there for a while, right? What should we do? What difference can we make to them? But at least we're thinking about it. And I still don't think we do it brilliantly well. And I'm not saying that's Caitlin. It's more of a capacity issue. I still think we can do it significantly better and Disneyfy this business. But we're making strides with the pins and the badges and the lanyards, the t-shirts. I could have slapped Paul Goff Media all front of that t-shirt and got my marketing, right? But it was like, what do you want? Well, you want that phrase on the t-shirts. That's what it means to you. Great. Let's put the t-shirts out. It didn't have Paul Goff Media and paulgoff.com and all sorts of shit slapped all over it. Like, it wouldn't have been worn by you if that's the case. It's like, let's make it what you want. That's where we're trying to modify everything that we're doing and generally are thinking about as we continue to grow. Dorothy, does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
If you look at that event that we did, you'll find a lot of Disney in it. If you genuinely you should all start coming to my events now and thinking, why has he done that, right? Because I promise you, there's just there's nothing's left to chance. The red carpet, like the stairs in the middle instead of at the side, and like just everything, the music, whatever, almost everything at that event now is staged, like in a good way, to create a theater, that people walk away from and think, yeah, what a great event that was. There was some thought gone into it, could feel it, it felt right, it felt good, it felt fluid, at every point it all worked, even the music. Right, I think I told you the story. I was sat in the fucking listening to YouTube and going, at 16 seconds, play this song and mix it into this. Then he mixes it. I'm like, no, it's not loud enough. Just turn it up at this point a bit more. Get rid of that bit. Turn the applause up. Just like everything is thought through to the nth degree of what we're trying to achieve, which is ultimately how somebody feels about coming to the event. We've got now people thinking, what the hell's going to happen at this one? You're not coming anymore just to be taught on stage. There's an event. It's actually happening, and you don't know what you're going to get when you know what the stage is going to look like. You know what the music's going to be. You know who's going to be on stage. Vance pops up, and then somebody else pops up, and it's like, oh, we've got this. Like, it's the element of surprise and delight everywhere you look. So there isn't a routine that you think, oh, I know what I'm getting when I go to that event. It's like, I'm actually going to see what I get. And that's a different mindset now. That's why the events are packed every time. People come back. Even people who tell us they're not coming, they fucking turn up 3 days, they book their seat 3 days before, for whatever reason. Because we're trying to get to that point of the things that Vance were talking about. Red carpet outside when you walk in, red carpet to get to the stage, so on and so forth. Singing Edge of Glory for days, of course. Why? Because I connected you to probably one of the best feelings of your life in the 80s. An unbelievable moment when that kid wins, the underdog wins. Like, everybody knows it. It's iconic. So it wasn't a song that we randomly picked. It connected you to a memory. Everybody remembers watching Karate Kid for the first time when that kid won. I connected you to that. You were probably surrounded by parents or friends or family. One of the, all your kids' friends at school were talking about it. That goes through your head. That's why we chose that one. Yeah, I was feeling bad for the anesthesiologists. There you go. The Karate Kid theme is back, and we may play it at every event moving forward. And you know why I'll be playing it at every event moving forward? Can anybody guess? Because it will reconnect you to a very emotional moment, a successful moment, a time when people were happy. This is Disney. This is what they do. First thing you do when you walk into a theme park, you notice the music. Why? It makes you feel good. What do you do when you feel good? You spend money. Like, that's all it is. That's what the beauty of Disney is. Because it'll piss Nick off. It will. It will piss. I'm gonna piss you off. I'm gonna send you a recording of Ryan's winning moment. Just the 60 seconds of Ryan winning, and I want you to play it every day on your way to work. I know that'll motivate you. I'm not sending you a commiserations letter. I'm sending a watch this every fucking day. Play this to your team every day so that this moment never ever happens again in Nick's life. Please do. Yeah. They were learning to put people to sleep in one room. There you go. There's the irony. We were keeping you awake in one room, and the anesthesiologist was sending everybody to sleep, literally, in the room next door. They did actually come in and tell us to turn the music down. Sophie looked at me on the morning. She went, "We've just had a complaint from next door. They've told us to turn the music down." I'm like, "I hope you told them to go off." She went, "Yeah, I did. I've worked with you long enough. Good. Don't let them come back, because if I have to speak to them, they'll be told twice as aggressively." So the music only went up as the days went on. Simon was putting people to sleep. I thought Simon did a good job at the weekend. Would we all agree? I think Simon's found his new role. He is definitely. We may see him at the UFC in a few years. I think he's in training for a ring announcer at a Floyd Mayweather Pacquiao fight next year. Who's next? Who wants to talk? Who wants to share? takeaways, insights, reflection points,
I'll share a
mindset
couple
shifts.
things.
Who's that? Carrie?
Yeah.
Let's go. How are you?
Absolutely. Good. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
It's posted in the group, but it really helped me to talk to my staff about the buckets, because sometimes I've always struggled a little bit getting everybody kind of on board with just sales goals and things like that. So it was just good to break it down like that and kind of put it into the bite-sized chunks and show them, like, we only need 5 here, we only need 5 here, we only need 10 here, and oh, by the way, this is where you can find out. Within like a half hour, everybody had like a list of names and they're already like selling them, which is great. So it was good to just go through that training and kind of teach them how to, when we are a little light, when we need to kind of push the pedal on certain things, just so much easier to be able to get the whole team involved instead of just me trying to like hunt and find. And because I'm not even in the system anymore, because I don't treat the clients, so I don't know them off the top of my head like I used to. So before, I'd have to like hound everybody and ask a million questions to say, all right, who do you think, who's on your schedule, who can you think? And now they can do it, and it just helped me to show them how to like go back and look.
Yeah, that's again where you're getting your leverage from. Your job is to organize the structure of the meeting, which is the leader's job. Organize the structure, establish the priorities, debate the data. That's all you do in meetings as a leader of a company. If you've got the right team, that can happen. The buckets were low-hanging fruit, stuff that we forgot, tried and true, and unexplored for everybody who wasn't at the event. So tried and true is things that works. I'll go back. Low-hanging fruit. So number 1 was low-hanging fruit: past patients, drop-offs, reactivations, asking patients for referrals, and calling leads that you couldn't convert to ask them a different question. That would be a low-hanging fruit. And you'd always go back to those people first. So if it's the first week of the month, go there first. If it's the second week of the month, you look at things you've forgotten. And I told the story about the A board, if you remember, outside of my clinic in Gisborough. We don't seem to get many referrals from walk-ins anymore. It's like, well, why not? Oh yeah, we haven't been putting the A board out. I'm like, why? Well, it was windy a couple of years ago, and we stopped putting. I'm like, what the fuck? Jeez, Louise, as Caitlin would say. It's like, these are the basics. Like if you don't have a framework to go through, you'll always forget that those things were working for you in the beginning. And it's another reason why I would encourage the big businesses, or the businesses who have been in business for 2, 3, 4, 5 years or more, shall we say. You should talk to the businesses. You should be enlightened by having conversations with businesses in their first year or two, because they'll remind you of things that you forgot. And again, that's a mindset shift. Most people get on their high horse and they're like, oh, I don't want to talk to a business who's only doing 50 grand or 100 grand. I'm like, why? Like, they're probably doing things that you forgot. And it's more true in life that instead of being taught something new, you actually need to be reminded of the basics that you forgot. That's where nearly all of our growth will come from. It's not in new. It's doing more of the things that you forgot. So when you are at the events, have conversation. New business, great. Remind me of the things that you're doing that I probably forgot. And I'll share with you some things that you're going to run into. What a great conversation this is going to be. Like what Nick said, one of the most powerful things I think that came from the weekend for me is when Nick said he'd crossed the bridge from coming to an event and just being surrounded by people and asking tactical questions to realizing that he didn't need more people in the room. He just needed to ask better questions of the people in the room. And when that magic happened, it's where all of the events that he's been to, he became a sponge and started asking better questions of people to take that information back. That's the difference. So in the room, when we did the breakout room for CEO, if any of you were in there, and if you weren't, I'll tell you something that happened. One of them said something like, oh, do we get more support? I went, no, you don't need it. Do we get more support if we join CEO? I'm like, support's not the problem. How much more fucking support do you want? You've got access to calls, you've got Facebook groups, you've got 150 people in a program, you get a newsletter every month, you've got me whenever you want me on a Wednesday. Like, you can reach out to me, tag me, talk to Simon, talk to Lisa, talk to anybody you want, whenever you want, by and large, right? Yeah, there's a few exceptions with calendars colliding and stuff, but we always figure it out. So let me ask you, do you need more support? Or do you just need to know how to use that support better? Now, that's not the answer that they wanted to hear right before they're signing up for a 15 grand program, but it's the fucking truth. It's the truth. And I won't blow smoke up your ass. It's mindset, game set mindset. Understanding how to use the resources around me better is the game. Thinking strategically is the game. Stopping asking crappy questions is the game. Being disciplined is the game. Nothing else for most of us. Engineering the right plan is the game. You don't need more support for that. To think that you need more support at that level is actually the problem. You've just identified the problem with me, that it's up here. I don't need more support. You need less. Dan Kennedy's mastermind. You do coaching calls with Dan Kennedy, it's 60 grand a year to be in his personal coaching program. You know what you get? 20-minute phone calls. Once a month. That's it. 20-minute phone call once a month. And when I first heard that 2 or 3 years ago, I was like, what the fuck? Now I'm like, I get it. I get it. Because it forces you to be ready for the call. You've thought about it for days, which is where all of the value is. And the second that he says hello to you, you're not asking him how the fucking horses are. You're not checking in on Mickey Mouse. How's the kids? None of that. What do you need? I need an answer to this specific problem in my life that when you give me it, Dan, I'm off. And I'll speak to you next month. That's the evolution of everybody in this business. Less is more the further you go with coaching. The less is more the further you go with skills in your business. It won't be about doing more. It'll be about thinking more. It'll be about asking more questions, better questions, less questions, but better questions. Using the resources around you. Because guess what? There's a commonality in. And here we go, Nick, and this is why I loved what you said, and I'm going to expand on it. The thing that he said when he mentioned that he gets more now from the group than ever before, even though by and large we haven't give more, in the group. It's still access to Simon or me or Barry or whatever. Facebook group, there's a few things, but nothing major. Guess what I know? Guess where the magic is in this? The minute that Nick got better at asking you all for information, insights, distinctions, ways to improve his life, guess what he got better at asking his staff? There's the magic. Nick might not have even thought of that, but it's exactly true. If it's true that Nick understood how to get better from people at an event or from a community that he's part of, Nick understood how to get better from his people, his own community. There is nothing different in this life. I keep telling you, nothing changes. Who you are is who you are. Struggle with getting it from your staff. You'll struggle with getting it from the community. And then you see people dancing around community after community after community. It's like, oh, it's all the same. Well, it isn't. Well, technically, no, you're right, because you're the same. I can keep blaming everyone, or I can go, hang on, this might be me. This may be me asking the wrong questions. This may be me failing to prepare. This may be me just rolling into work again, doing the same thing that I've been doing for the last 3 or 4 or 5 years. That's the next level. It's not just about the people. It's how you access the people. It's how you leverage the people. It's the quality of the conversations that you're having. That's going to define the top 20% of the world, or the top 4 or 5, whatever, and everybody else. You'll see it in your office. You'll see it in your events, your questions, the questions on this call, the questions on your calls with Simon, your accountability group calls, and so on and so forth. There's a direct correlation there as well, by the way. Direct correlation between the people, I don't need these accountability calls. All right, let's see what happens. I know this to be true. You show me all the people who show up on an accountability call every other week, and I'll show you businesses that are growing 90% of the time. I could guarantee it. Because the very fact that people think they don't need accountability is the reason they need accountability. Oh, this thing's a total waste of time. This 45 minutes call, yeah, I'm not getting any content off this. No, but you are actually coming on a call to explain that you didn't do the thing again that you said you would do. That's the reason it's called accountability. You are having to admit that to 8 other business owners who are going to kick your ass. And we don't think that that's important. All right. That's the way you want to see it. That's up to you. I ain't going to fight you. All we're doing is we're pulling you out of the groups and making sure that people who do see accountability as value are in groups with people who see accountability. We've pulled people out over the last few weeks from accountability groups and put them into new groups, not told the others who are in the group that they've actually been removed, that there's now nothing going on in their accountability group. We get an email 2 months later going, hey, what's happened to my accountability group? I'd like to get back into one. I'm like, no, you don't. The very fact you haven't been on the fucking thing for 2 months tells me that you don't want to be in an accountability group. You're either lying to me or you're lying to yourself. What do you want to do? And I got to the point with the staff, I'm like, I'm fucking fed up of it. Only 3 people on the accountability call. Cool. That's not fair on the 3 who value accountability. Put them in a better group. Oh, well, Paul, we've had 2 people complain. Tell them to piss off. I'm not bothered. Literally, tell them to piss off, and I did. They either come on an accountability group and they show up every week, or they piss off. Because it's not right for the people who want to be fucking held accountable. Mindset. Game, set, mindset. There'll be nothing more important in your life than understanding these things. Accountability, thinking differently, asking better questions, focused, discipline. That's what we do for you. Not plow you with more and more content. You'll be sick. Most of you haven't ate the pies from the last event, and you want me to give you more pies? That's figuratively what we have to be careful of. Paul, I know I didn't eat the last pie, but can I have another one? You need to laugh because you know it's true. Eric? There you go. Anyway, there's my little rant. But if you do find yourself isolated in an accountability group right now, it's happened on purpose. Because it's not fair on the people who want to come on a call every 3 weeks. We're creating super accountability groups. Round about, I would say 60% of the group are in super accountability groups. And I looked at the other 40% and said, this is not fair on the people who should be in good accountability groups, because the people who are rocking the accountability groups, I see their budget and their P&L and what they're making. And there's a direct correlation. It's up to you. It's up to you. Not coming on accountability groups to get more content. You're coming on an accountability group to admit, like an alcoholic, that you fell off the wagon again. And at some point in doing that, it'll force you to realize that if you don't stay off the booze, not much is going to change. Figuratively, if you're going to say you're going to do something and you've got 2 weeks to do it, do it. There you go, Amy. Enough said. Who was an accountability group captain for a year? Ryan. Who's on an accountability group call every week? Nick. Carrie's a captain. Shall I keep going? Shall I keep ramming it down? Paul is preaching today. Who's next?
Well, I don't really have a question necessarily at the time, but I just wanted to give you another plug to bring staff to the meeting, because since getting back, it's the amount of stress or amount of content that we all try to absorb and then try and implement. Think of having 3, I have 3 members of staff there with me, having 3 other minds, 3 other notes, 3 other angles at what they're interpreting and how some of the things that they're learning is going to be able to apply in their specific roles, and then how they can help me additionally not only stay accountable, but also hold them accountable to some of those changes has been monumental for us. And going back to our preparation for the meeting, we sent out a list of, here are some of the issues that we're having. And I had a list of, here are people that you need to talk to based on what category they're in. Introduce them to Barry, to Cam. Here's the Infusionsoft guy. Here's who we need to talk to about sales. Just getting that much more intentional about what you're going to that meeting for. Yeah. Again, going back to asking the questions with the intention of getting the answer that you're looking to solve the problem for is huge for us.
Wonderful. And to continue on that, for anybody who does bring staff, it is worthwhile. One of the things you should always do as you head to an event is, what's the problem we want solved and while we're here, and discuss that with your team. And it could be 1 major, 3 minors. And I promise you'll find it. you will find it. If you sit in a room and you absorb content, you usually leave with more problems than you arrived with, because you've just like been bombarded with a lot of stuff. Whereas if you arrive and you think, all right, I'm bringing 2 of my staff, and my ass is on the line now for flights and hotels and whatever else. Good. How am I going to get my money's worth? Great. Is it worth us having 45 minutes to an hour before we take off, just to make sure that we all get what we need from this event? And then we reconvene. So here's the accountability. On the flight on the way home, we all cross-reference what we got and made sure that we actually got, we got what we needed and created a plan. You're going to get significantly more leverage from that. And like you say, rather than going back explaining all of this stuff to people, have seen it for themselves. We see it more and more. The rapid room gets more beneficial for us as a community when we see it with assistants in there, because you can see their eyes opening up after an hour or two. That's like, oh wow, I just thought all this stuff was just something that Nick wanted me to do, and now I realize it's like, actually, yeah, this stuff does work, and I do see other people are doing it, and so on and so forth. So consider it, and more consider it from a point of view of your staff. Your staff are the most important people. We will, and if we start seeing more and more staff coming, I'll put on another room for 2 days and figure out how I don't even know how I'll do it, but I'll figure out a way of making it just, at least a full day for your staff with my staff. I don't know how yet, but I'll make it happen. I'll fly more staff out or bring some physio staff over, whatever. We'll make it work. So let's look at that for Nashville. Oh, where were we at? Why do I keep saying Nashville? New Orleans. Keep giving everybody a heart attack. New Orleans. All right, great. Let's look at that. If we start seeing a load more staff come in, staff seats getting booked, 2, 3, members, take it as a given. I'll figure out something. Might not be a fancy workbook for the first one, but we'll have something on for them. By all accounts, even the 1 hour breakout session with my team of how to get the best from you has gone down like an absolute storm. That we realized, and this is funny, I spoke to, because we've had a full day today debriefing on the event, and I said, oh, what was your takeaways? What lessons have you learned? Sophie was like, well, I realize how far we've come. I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, well, because people are asking us questions that are so basic they don't know the answers to, like, with respect. But we're seeing that the questions that are being asked are just, we're like, oh my God, like you really still confused at that? Wow. And my brain goes, well, how can I possibly help Nick, right? There's nothing that I can do to help Nick at this point as an individual, other than now help him get better at leveraging his team. Because Nick's optimized. Like Nick's like there. The next frontier, if you like, is the people underneath. And if the people underneath aren't able to ask the basics of questions or understand the most basics of things that we're trying to achieve, Nick's on a collision course. His business will stall. It'll get stuck. And that's what genuinely happens. So we're going to have to figure this out as a community. And, like I said, we'll commit to it. Whether it's day one, Saturday is all about, is all team, or Sunday's all team, whichever logistically works. And there's a track in another room that you can dip, you can go in and out of if you want, or your team can go in and out of. We'll make that work. So if we get good numbers, 10, 15, 20 staff come into New Orleans, we'll make that happen, and we'll turn it into a regular thing. That your team can just keep coming down and asking any questions that they've got, and the better prepared your team are, the better they'll get from the session. I would only need to put one person in every session, or 2 maximum, for my staff to sit there at the front and talk to your team. So what do you think? Happy with that? Yeah. Let's do it. Oh yes, New Orleans seat booking link is available, sorted, so you can book your seat for New Orleans and register for the hotel there. So March the 7th and 8th, it's all done and dusted. Yeah, well, more and more. I'll get Vicky out. Again. She couldn't come next week to boot camp, more for family reasons, that she just couldn't get babysitters for that weekend. But I will. I look to get her out next year. Try to get her out at least once. I'll ask her where she wants to go, LA or New Orleans. Wouldn't be a bad conversation to have with her. Hey, Vicky, how's life? Where would you want to go next year? So, any more questions? What can I help you with? She's going to pick LA. Where do I think she'd pick? No, I think she'd pick New Orleans. All day. I think she'd pick New Orleans. Party. She loves a good party. I was going to say drink, but that might portray her as falsely. But I think New Orleans. If I said to my staff New Orleans or LA, Vicky would go New Orleans. I'd be very surprised if she wouldn't. Who can I help?
Hey, Paul.
Nicole, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, very well. What's going on?
I just wanted to kind of echo what Hunter, or yeah, I think it was
Nick.
Hunter had to say, or Nick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hunter, yeah. Because I'm at that place in my business where I just don't have time for so much because I'm trying to fly the plane and serve the peanuts, and I'm maxed out with clients, and it's just like crazy. So, but I've brought in Miranda, and she's really helping me out a lot, but I don't have time to really like explain everything about the system that I'm trying to implement. And so I had her go to the Rapid Action Boot Camp, and it was so worth it. And so if anybody's on the fence about bringing a staff, I just want to say it was like, I will do it again, and I will keep doing it.
It should be. And again, once she's done Rapid, it's like, all right, just bring her into the main rooms with you from now on.
Yeah.
That's the evolution of the staff, the staff people with you. What you'll find, and if you speak to any of them, anybody like Carrie, Christine, people who've brought staff, you do find that. And Nick, obviously, more, they're more like Paul Jones has done it regularly. They buy into you because they're part of something. You don't realize how magical they'll feel when you go back and say, I'm taking you to LA. And well, your staff won't necessarily be feeling magical about going to LA because they probably drive there every week. But you get the point. Hey, we're off to New Orleans for the weekend. Let's have some fun. Stay a day after if you want, or stay a day before, whatever. That's a pretty special, buy into the community that you're trying to create there in your office.
Yeah, that's true too. It was very much a team building kind of thing too, which, I hadn't thought a lot about, but it was good.
Yeah, good. No, brilliant. It was good to see you both. Yeah, let's make New Orleans can we get at least 30% of the room there staff would be great. And like I said, I'll create a side room for you, and I'll figure it out, and I'll go in there myself. I'll see how I can get in there and start talking to your team for you one-on-one, or certainly in a small group, and kind of bring their mindsets up as well. So yeah, we go. The conversations we had in the hotel in the evenings were also worth the cost of bringing staff out. You do. You find out more about your team when you sat in the pub having a couple of beers. It's like everybody, you find out what they should have told you when they're in the pub. Like, it's like, what, you've waited 6 weeks to tell me this about Cameron? You're just telling me this now? That he has an addiction to to Tinder? He's been blocked. They've upgraded. Do you pay for Tinder? He'll be the first person that gets charged to use Tinder. He uses it that often. There you go. He started buying shares in it. Who else? What other questions have we got? Let's keep reflecting on the weekend.
I'll go.
Let's go.
Election.
Let's go.
I also liked the cancellation talk. I mean, it made it in a way that it was going to be easier for me to go back and take that information back to like my PT. And so we had a lot of good discussions on just making sure that that we know that you're talking about the outcome every single time. Like every visit, it's bringing back to what it is that they really want and why they're really coming here.
Yeah.
So it was nice to, I don't know, it was an easy way to explain it.
Yeah, good. So I'll recap it. So the cancellation. So my question when I started the day was, is this a cancellation issue, or is this selling the thing that the customer isn't wanting to buy issue? Which for most of us it is. We forget that they are not there for what we do, and even if you get it conceptually, the staff usually lose it in execution level, and that needs to be just drilled in day after day after day. The second I have almost like a bullshit barometer go off in my life, right? That you give me an excuses and I'll just go back to the cause. So the staff, we've got to drop off. No, we haven't. You just stop communicating them about the thing that they want to buy. Like, don't give them a second of breathing space. The minute that you accept, it was a time thing. And any of you who've worked with me for a while, right? Particularly, you'll see it in CEO or on, if I've done one-on-ones with you or whatever. You give me any excuses, I'll shut you down in a second. I won't even let you finish the conversation. I can't. Because if I let you keep communicating that that's the problem, you'll actually believe it. And your staff will do the same. You've got to check the conversations that you're having with team. We've had another one cancelled because there's no money. Oh, you know, isn't Texas bad? There's just no money in Texas. Oh, everybody in Texas right now has got no money and blah, blah, blah. And before you know it, you've just turned it into a reality rather than, no, there's plenty of money around. Look, just take a look outside. Look at these fucking cars driving past. See these planes going over our head. You know, plenty of private ones. There's money around. You've got to change their belief and their view of the world instantly. If you take part in those conversations, game over. And again, this is your job. This is what leaders do. This is where you come on in. They're looking for you. It's like a kid looks at their father. If it's like, oh, is this safe? You know, Harry would be looking at me. Well, occasionally they look at me when they're running towards a road or they're running somewhere, and they know they shouldn't be going. He'll start looking back at me for validation as to whether or not he can keep going. Is it safe? And the look on my face says it all as to whether or not he should go any further. The kid's looking at you for validation as to whether it's safe. Can I do this? You know, one of your distant friend comes into your house and goes to pick your kids up, right? They'll look at you instantly for validation as to whether or not this is safe. That's what they do. And that's what they're still doing when they're 25. They're looking for validation for the new parent in their life, their boss, that this is safe. Is this right? Is this real? Help me out. I want to soften the blow of telling you that this person's cancelled. So what I'll do is I'll give you an excuse called money or time. And if you pander to me, I'll know it's true. But you've also compounded a false belief. And what we have to do is refute that false belief instantly to change it, to change their mindset. That slowly over time, you'll know you'll win when one or two of your staff go, oh, right, what did we not communicate this time? And the new member of staff who wants to be adamant that it's money is shut down by everybody else in the office because they know it's not money, because you've conditioned that behavior in the business that it's not money. You'll get what you tolerate in life everywhere you look. Everywhere you look with it. It's like, this is how I live, whether I'm at home, whether I'm in the office. No bullshit. I just refuse to have it. Natalie hates living with me at these points. Any shit that is, you know, excuses or whatever, it's like, I'm not having it. For the greater good of the family, I'm not accepting it. I will not have my kids listen on in this. That's not true. That's not the facts. That's the bullshit. That's what people want you to believe. But I will not let my kids go through life listening to that type of shit. The reality was this. Even when it's I or her have done something stupid. Like, well, we want to blame this, but the reality was we were just too fucking lazy to plan it properly. We can blame whatever, but it was really us. Much better way of living, I think. And I think as a leader of a business, that's what you've got to be wary of in your office. Don't let them fabricate the story. Separate, what is it? Tony Robbins talks about it. Separate the story from the truth. Most of us, it's the story that's killing you, not the actual thing. And, you know, nobody's got any money over here. Nobody's this, nobody's that. No. The truth is, the only thing, and this is why, if you're understanding it from a coaching point of view, you have two choices in your life. This is not just business. You have two choices in your life. One, I accept it, which is, this is a monetary problem. And nobody in Texas has any money, right? Even though there's probably more millionaires in Texas than anywhere else in Florida, in the US, right? Well, but nobody's got any money, right? Fine. Even if that's true, if I accept it, I'm helpless. Do you understand what that means? I cannot control or change that situation if I accept that as true. It is out of my control. That is an economic problem. That is an economic issue created by the government or the banks or insurance companies, whatever. That means I can't do anything about that. That's where most people live their life, in that state of helplessness. The winners look at that and go, what can I do about it? What is the situation that I can control? Well, the situation that I can control in this particular circumstance is that I'll focus more on what we didn't do, not what the economical climate might be. That's definitely open to debate. But if I focus more on the thing that I'm in control of, which is my phone calls and my staff's execution of the script that I've taught them, even if I don't get it right all of the time, I'm going to get it right 2 or 3 more times than I would have done. And if I add that up every week, every month, and every year, that's the difference that will make the difference. It's what leaders get paid for. Does everybody make sense on that? Even if you believe even if it's factually true that nobody's got any money in your town, which it isn't, it's a load of horseshit wherever you live, even if it was factually true, you still have no choice but to live in a world that you're in control of, which is how you're answering the phone, how you're communicating with people, how you are selling the thing that they want to buy, asking the right questions to reveal what they want to buy. Because if we don't do that, that's the only bit that you can control. And I know that if you do that well and you do it consistently, day after day after day, you will see improvements in your business. And that's all we want for our life. Marginal improvements day after day. Consistently executed day after day. You get up and go to the gym 30 minutes every day for the next 12 months, you will look and feel very, very different. You go to the gym for 6 hours tomorrow, you'll be in the hospital, you'll be in the ER room. It's not about one big effort. It's about slowly executing on the things that are important day after day after day after day after day. Show up on one accountability call, not much is going to change. Have the discipline to show up for an accountability call every 2 weeks. You'll develop the habit that is the discipline to hold a meeting with your team every week and make them be accountable for it. Because after all, you've developed that discipline. Now you can rightly expect it from your staff. Don't hold them accountable if you can't hold yourself. It's not going to happen. Inconsistencies everywhere. Now we're getting to the real reasons why people don't get as much success in their life as they would like. Harsh, but very true. It's a pretty brutal call today. Stephanie, does that help answer? And for everybody who wasn't there, that understanding, really, I took that one step deeper than I did on the stage. This isn't just about what are we selling and are we selling the right thing? This is actually much bigger and more important than that, that you can choose to live in two worlds. I remember again, Tony Robbins, I mentioned him very much. Just such a profound change in the way I thought when I kind of started to follow his stuff and even get to the conferences. And one of them was, where do you want to live? Right? It was a great question he asked the audience. What place do you want to live? What state do you want to live in? I was thinking, well, Florida, New York, California. That's the state that I want to live in. I want to live in anywhere that's sunny. And he's like, no. Like, do you want to live in a happy place, a fulfilled place, a place where you're in control, a place where there's pleasure? Like that's what we talk about. And I adapted that to, well, where do you want to live? Do you want to live in a world where you're helpless and out of control? Or do you just want to wake up every day and live in a world of stuff that you can't control? All right, I can't do anything about the economical situation in Florida right now, but I can do something about my staff, and I can change the way my staff communicate, and I can change the way my staff execute on what I've taught them. And if I just live in that lane, I'm going to be better. Might not be super rich, but I'm going to be better. I'm going to be fulfilled, and I'm going to get closer to my targets. And just because I'm living in a world where I can actually control these things, that gets rid of most of my frustration. Again, people ask, why am I regularly chilled and relaxed and whatever? Because by and large, I don't live in a world where all of this shit goes on and I'm affected by it. I still live in the same world as everybody else, but I just don't focus on any of it. Don't see it. I've nothing other than the odd giggle watching the news, finding out what's been up to, the politicians have done corruptly and whatever else they're up to these days. Whatever train wreck Brexit has caused, that now all of a sudden the thing shouldn't have been voted for. And really? It took you 3 years to figure that one out? I was saying it 3 months before the vote even took place. It's not rocket science. Your frustration is coming more often than not because you're focusing on things that are by and large out of your control. Governments are wonderful at doing that. Media are good at doing that because your dependency upon them increases how much money they can sell their ads for. We all fucking know it. And yet we're all sucked into it day after day.
Paul, I have a question.
Let's go. Who's that?
It's Nicole.
Nicole, how can I help?
Okay, so I think probably if I reviewed notes from Sales Bootcamp, I need to do that, I'm realizing. And I think Miranda and I want to have us dialogue and practice some of the things that I practiced in that, as far as how to have phone calls, how to have conversations with people. Because something I'm running into is actually interesting, and I was curious just for the group to get kind of some feedback.
Yeah.
because my prices are, you know, if you pay just for one session, it's $350. And something I'm running into here is I'm getting quite a few people have said they're kind of they're surprised by the price, and then they say, wow, like that's what my lawyer charges me, you know.
Yeah.
And they're just kind of like put off, you know. And I have to say, like, it hits my ego a little bit. I'm a little put off that they're put off, because I'm like, shoot, you know, what I'm offering you is just as good as what your lawyer would offer. In fact, probably better, because this is your body, you know, and it's just the same way that, you know, you're going to pay a lot of money for a lawyer to make sure they do it right. You better, you know, want to have somebody pay, you know, take care of your body just the same way, you know?
Just say that there's only one thing worse than being in jail, and that's being in jail with sciatica.
Right?
There you go.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good comeback. I like it. Because what I've just been saying is like, well, do you want someone to solve your problem? You know, I can do that. But I'm having people kind of still walk away. I think it all comes down to strategy, as far as I need to have better preeminence, and I'm working on that. And I need to have better follow-up and better kind of all of the things that you've taught as far as helping people to feel comfortable and get to know me more before I'm, you know, talking to them about a lot of money.
You hit the nail. You hit the nail on the head. Let me jump in. You hit the nail on the head, because you went, I took it personally, right? And the minute you take that personally, it's game over. Your reaction's going to be like, it's just not going to be in any way likely to draw somebody towards you, because you'll just defend yourself. And the minute you start defending, you're both clashing. So when I give you that comeback there, I would use that, honestly, right? That would come to my head straight away, because the person that you're speaking to will do what you did, and everybody, you laugh. I've just diffused the situation. Now I'm back in control. And I was like, come on. And really what they're saying is, my lawyer is a strong, confident person who I look to solve my legal problems whenever I, you know, kind of need them. And I'm seeing this guy on a billboard, or lady with a suit on, or whatever, right? That's the perception that they have of a lawyer, right? Now all of a sudden I've come back with a strong, confident reply. And they're like, I get this girl. I like it. She believes in herself. Well, that's kind of what I'm buying from a lawyer. That's what they're buying, right? The person's, again, let's all understand this. The person's perception of a lawyer is that they're going to be strong and hard and tough and miserable, and by and large they are, right? All of those things. That's the perception of a lawyer. So that's what you think you're buying. Whereas what they think of a PT is just this nice lady who I go and get some exercises from, and she kind of, you know, makes me laugh, and it's nice and whatever. It's like, all right, well, I'll step up. And by not taking criticism or offense to my lawyer charges that much, the typical person would respond, well, I'm worth it because of this.
Right.
The minute that you do that, you're beat. Like, you don't, you've just exposed what they believed. But by coming back with the only thing worse than being in jail is being in jail with, you know, raging leg pain. In that respect, I'm actually more important than your lawyer.
Yeah, right.
But because, and again, don't use those exact words. Just it's the way that we would do it. Like, because I'm not taking offense to the fact that you might announce that I charge a lot of money. The fact that I didn't come back and try to defend why I charge money is the response that they were looking for, because that suggests that I'm strong and confident in myself, and that's what an individual wants to buy. That's what they buy with a lawyer. They don't know how much legal advice they've got. By and large, you buy them on who's the miserablest bastard who looks tough, who wants to make sure that your wife doesn't screw you over in the divorce, or vice versa. Like, that's what you buy. They're always miserable when you see them on the ads. Like, that's because they know that that's the perception of what you're really buying. You want a tough mother who, like, make sure that, like, Amy don't want a nice lawyer anymore. She wants a bastard to go in and make this other lawyer's life hell. She wants somebody who's an absolute dog with a bone, who just will make this other lawyer's life misery. And that's what she'd buy. That's what you think of certainty, confidence. Therefore, if that's what they're buying, that's what you've got to sell them.
Yep. That's
the difference. And it will go back to everything that you've said tactically. at that level of, let's make sure that these conversations, absolutely, I'm more than your lawyer, and here's why. After all, there's nothing more important than, whatever. Like, come back with whatever you want, but
Yeah.
don't defend it.
Yeah.
Don't react. Respond.
Yeah.
Stay high, which again goes back to when you're busy and you're busy for busy's sake and you're treating patients and you're running around like a headless chicken, like, you're not going to be in control. You're not going to be able to have these conversations. Because again, I don't know the situation, but sometimes what would happen to me, Vicky would say, Paul, have you got 2 minutes to speak to this person? I've just finished a set of treatment notes. I've just had my head thinking about a hamstring injury. Now I'm being passed it. And my response would be, yeah, what's his name? Yeah, it's Mick. Hi, Mick. How can I help? How much is this session going to cost? I'm like, what? I've just stopped thinking about semitendinosis and a grade 2 fucking tear and giving him, stretches and whatever. Now I'm trying to talk to Mick and defend my prices. My tribal survival reaction will come out. Well, they are what they are. Like, that's what would happen.
Yeah.
Which again is environment and you understanding yourself.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, no, I can't speak to him right now. Take some notes, find out some information on him, hand that to me. Let me breathe, read his notes before I call him. Hey, Mick, seems like you've got a problem with our price. Well, yes, I have. Well, what is your problem? It's just more than I was expecting. Okay, cool. You want to talk about it?
Mm-hmm.
See the difference?
Yeah.
You're not reacting at that point. Most of us are. It's an environment thing. It's a I'm not ready for this conversation thing. As much as it is, I'm not training on it regularly. Or, as is most business owners' problems, we take it personally.
Yeah. That's good. Thank you.
Does that help?
Yeah.
Good. Well done. All right. I'm a prick. I love it. So Keith's Loy's line, I'm a prick, but I'm your prick. I like it. I like it. You can pay me to be a prick. The more you pay me, the more prick that I'll be. I'm a complete miserable bastard, and the more you pay me, the more miserable and aggressive I will be for you. The point there, Tulsi, you couldn't say that to them because then you're defending you. So you couldn't say, so you think your lawyer is worth more than a clinician who is taking care of your body. That would be a natural comeback that you would want to go at. But they're ready for that. And they'll be like, well, yes, I do. I've just told you I have, essentially. So now you're fighting. I know, but what I'm trying to point out is for many of us, we would respond with something like that. We'd respond with something logical. And as soon as we go logical, like we're butting heads. The response would have to be like a very different. They wouldn't know what to come back with that type of answer. All right, good call. Let's wrap this up. Type into the chat what your big takeaways are. You need to get better at it. You need to practice it. You need to believe it. Self-belief. Self-confidence. You got to be your biggest fan, Tulsi. Accept it. Change the meaning. Or walk away. Love it, Matt. What else? What I can control, says Stephanie. Show up for accountability calls, says Tulsi. There we go. Recognize the higher level. Don't just show up for the calls. Commit to showing up for 12 months. Is a much better plan. Vision gets bigger when the plan gets better. Showing up for calls? Yeah, it's not a bad plan. Committing to showing up for calls every week that's booked out on your calendar for the next 12 months, that's a significantly better plan. Reflection. Recognize the higher level of what's going on, says Nicole. Reflection, the way we think is costing us money, not only, but also quality of life, Andre. That's the key. This business is just a mule for a terrific life. Vision got bigger when the plan got better, says Dorothy. Address the underlying emotion and logic. Great. Come on, keep going. Let me know. Type into the chat. Understanding how to use the resources I already have better is better than having more resources. Love it, Derek. There's strategic. Now you're thinking much higher. Much, much, much higher. Send unexpected gifts and do unexpected things for clients they will love. What else? Importance of staff. Who's bringing staff to New Orleans? Start thinking about it and planning it now. Give us a good sign in the next couple of weeks that you're bringing staff, and I'll do something pretty cool for your staff for you. Leverage staff. Me, says Carrie. Carrie needs to hire them. Needs to hire some more of them. Who else? Big takeaways from today's call. Respond, not react, says Futon. Futon, are we seeing you in Hartlepool in December? Good man. Futon only has a 23-hour flight from Brunei to the beautiful northeast of England. It is Hartlepool in the middle of December. If you are lucky, Futon, you may see sunlight. If you are very lucky, you will see blue sky. I hope you like grey. We need to ask better questions, not just get more information. Who else? I'd love to see the conversation at customs when Futon arrives all the way from Brunei and he lands in Heathrow. So what's the purpose of your trip? I'm going to Hartlepool. The guy on the desk would be like, what the fuck? But like, search him. We've got a whack job. We've got we've got somebody trying to get in. This guy, we've got a clown. This guy thinks he's funny. This guy's coming all the way from Brunei to go to Hartlepool. I mean, is there anybody from Detroit on here? No. Okay, good. I did the same, right? So I flew in on Independence Day, and the guy said, "Oh, what's the purpose of your trip?" And I went, "Oh, I've just come to see Detroit." And he literally looked at me and went, "Can I ask why?" And I was like, "Good point." I said, "Yeah." I said it was just a cheap flight to Detroit, and I can get to LA in the next couple of days for an event I'm at. And he went, "You chose Detroit?" Like, yeah. He said, "Have you not seen the movies and heard all about this place?" And he was laughing all the way through it. Something's not right with this one. That's what they're like. They actually pulled me over for a search as well. That's what makes me laugh. I got one of those sort of independent searches after I told them I was in Detroit to see it. It's like, he's definitely something else. Keith says, we give people what we want them to have, not what they want to have. Good. Something's not right with this one. We need to ask better questions, says Matt. Good. All right, I'm going to wrap it up. Thanks. It's been a good call. I've loved it. I think I'm back. Am I back next Wednesday? Yeah, I'm on every week, I think, now until the end of the year. We'll probably get Simon on to do a Business Genius at some point in December. But I'm on next week. I'm off to Nashville tonight, flying in for a mastermind tomorrow in, where am I at tonight? What's the name of the hotel I'm at tonight? Franklin. Am I Franklin? I'm in Franklin tonight in Nashville. Last flight out of Orlando into Nashville tonight, back Friday. My sister's coming into town tomorrow, which is fun, for 2.5 weeks. So excited to see her when I get back on Friday. So I'll be back on the call next week. And then, Sales Bootcamp's our next big event. So if you want your staff, chuck them on a flight to Orlando and we'll take care of them and I'll spend 2 days with them. Sales Bootcamp is the next big thing, 3 weeks this Saturday. So I'll see you all next week. Thanks for your time. Have fun.